Today, we are going to be crafting the perfect Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, when it will be announced, when it will release, and what games will be teased alongside it. Let's get into it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and today I've got a doozy for you. I thought this was a really fun idea. So what we're going to do today is predict when the Nintendo Switch 2 will be revealed, what games will be announced inside of the trailer, and when it will be released. But it kind of goes without saying, we're going to try to keep this a little bit grounded in reality. The best case scenario, the perfect reveal situation for the Switch 2 would be that it's announced tomorrow, releases in like 3 weeks, and there's a ton of first-party Nintendo games. So I'm going to try to keep it grounded in reality. Also worth noting, if you are new to the channel, I do think this is going to release in 2025. I don't think it's going to release in 2024. But if it is going to release this year, I think it'll be announced within the first 3 months of the year, by March 31st. I think there is no way, if it's releasing this holiday or something, or this fall, it pretty much has to be announced before March 31st. That's just my opinion. I would love to be wrong because I want this thing as soon as everybody else does. So let's go ahead and get into this. I think it will be announced in a similar fashion to the NX, or as we now know it, the Nintendo Switch. So I think before we get the official reveal trailer that tells us the name of the console, shows us some games and the hardware itself, it'll be soft confirmed to be coming out in 2025 from the investor meeting for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024, which I believe that Q&A and those results normally come out late April, maybe early May. So I would expect at that point Nintendo to come out to investors and say, hey, we're expecting a big boost in profits in early 2025 because we will be releasing some sort of new hardware. Maybe they don't give it a code name, maybe they don't go into specifics, maybe they don't even say the successor to the Nintendo Switch, but based on their projections for that fiscal year, they will pretty much have to say something, assuming it is releasing in that fiscal year ending in March 2025. So I think that will be the first official mention of this hardware from Nintendo. Now, over the summer, I think we will continue getting full directs for first-party Switch games, as based on software sales currently, I really see no reason for this year to be inherently weaker than previous years based on those sales numbers. We might see a little bit more ports and remakes than usual, but frankly, we've seen that every year of the Switch. There's always been a lot of ports and remakes. So I think we will get a big February Direct, a big June Direct, and a big September Direct. So following the 2024 September Direct, that will detail all of the holiday games in even more detail, you know, the new Pokemon game, if we get a new Mario Party, maybe Metroid Prime 4 is a Switch 1 game, right? We will get all those details on those games, as well as a few games for 2025 for Switch 1 owners. Maybe that'll be, you know, more ports and remakes, but there will be some 2025 games for Switch 1 confirmed at that point. And similarly to the Switch, I think the console will be revealed in a short teaser video in October of 2024. And before we dive into what games I think will actually be in that initial reveal trailer, I know I'm going to get comments about this, so let me just address it right now. People always say, oh, if they can't announce it during the holidays, they'll never announce it. There's always going to be that time period where they can't announce it because announcing it hurts holiday sales. I think this year is going to be fine because there's rumored to be a Switch revision. There is likely to be a Switch OLED price drop, or maybe just an across-the-board Switch price drop. And with games like Pokemon and potential, you know, Mario Party and games from previous years, I think the Switch, even with a new console being announced, will do just fine holiday 2024. So an October announcement for the Switch 2 won't inherently hurt what the Switch 1 will do in the holiday season. But let's get into this. So the Switch was revealed alongside footage of Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Skyrim, and NBA 2K. Now, we're going to just kind of copy this, right? We're going to go under the assumption they will announce or tease 4 first-party games for the Switch 2, as well as 2 third-party games. I feel like that's the only way to kind of have this be a little bit more grounded and realistic. Now, this is a little different, though, because at that point, we already knew about Breath of the Wild, and while the Switch had a very short, you know, announcement to release cycle, you could argue Breath of the Wild was a big part of the marketing for the Switch, and we knew about Breath of the Wild in 2014. So while 3 of the first-party announcements in that initial Switch reveal trailer were new, one of them was a game we already knew about, and one of them was a port. So honestly, expecting 4 first-party games in the Switch 2 announcement trailer might be a little bit much, but let's just roll with it. So what 4 first-party games would Nintendo announce with the Switch 2 to make people want to buy it? Well, I think a very clear and obvious one is 3D Mario. By the time this console is announced in October of 2025, if that is what happens, Super Mario Odyssey will be 7 years old. And even if you count Bowser's Fury, that'll be over 3 years old, almost 4. It is absolutely time for a new 3D Mario game to be announced, and I do think this will be a launch title, so what better place to tease it than the Switch 2 hardware reveal trailer? But just like that initial Switch trailer, I think we will also get a Zelda game teased here. Now, my friend Andres Restart has been talking about this a lot, and it's something I have definitely been predicting for a long time. I think even back on my old YouTube channel, me and my friend Caleb were discussing this as a possibility following the release of Tears of the Kingdom, and I do think an Ocarina of Time remake tease would be just the thing to really kind of make the Switch 2 look appealing to hardcore Nintendo fans, but also really appeal to Nintendo and Zelda fans that maybe are tired of open-air Zelda. Maybe this is a great opportunity for them to say, hey, we understand that, you know, although Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are extremely successful games, there is still a demand for that traditional linear 3D Zelda, so we got you. We're remaking Ocarina of Time from the ground up. Maybe it's Grezzo doing it, maybe it's someone else. But I think just a short tease, maybe 10 seconds of footage of this Ocarina of Time remake is enough to make people go just absolutely ballistic, speculating for the next 12 months. And I think this wouldn't be a launch title, by the way. I think it would be probably later in the second half of 2025, which at that point, it really won't be too soon after Tears of the Kingdom. You know, Tears of the Kingdom, if Ocarina of Time remake releases in the second half of 2025, that's over 2 years since Tears of the Kingdom came out. So I think there's been more than enough time at that point for them to have a remake of this game ready for the Switch 2. Especially because, you know, we've seen with a lot of Nintendo hardware, usually we get a Zelda game at the end of the console's life cycle, but also oftentimes that has been a cross-gen game that ends up being one of the main system sellers for the next hardware. We saw it with Twilight Princess, we saw it with Breath of the Wild, and considering the Wii and the Switch are Nintendo's most successful consoles, I think they will want to have a proper AAA Zelda game in its first 12 months on the market. It just makes too much sense for them to leave that money on the table, and it's a great system seller. But then what about these final two, right? Well, maybe one of them would be a port or a remake. You know, I could see something multiplayer being in this, right? I think with 3D Mario and Ocarina of Time, those are very single-player focused adventures. Maybe 3D Mario could have some new multiplayer aspects, but a traditional multiplayer game, like an online competitive multiplayer game from Nintendo. We're getting 3D Mario, so I would tend to think that Mario Kart would probably be the following year, right? So I don't really think Mario Kart would also be in this, although it could. Odyssey and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe were in the same Switch reveal trailer, so maybe Mario Kart's ready. Maybe Animal Crossing could be that game, although I don't really think that's going to release in 2025, or maybe it could be a whole new IP, or, and this would be our port for this announcement, maybe it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Deluxe with even more characters. Sakurai did just officially confirm that despite doing all of his YouTube shenanigans, he is currently working on a game, so maybe that's it. You know, we saw the announcement from Bandai Namco that they have this new Studio 2 and Studio S, which is essentially a Super Smash Bros. Development team from what we can tell. So maybe right now, as we speak, they are prepping developments of a Smash Ultimate Deluxe port that has a couple new characters, right? And maybe in this tease, we see one, right? Maybe there's 5 characters that are added to this game, and all the DLC is included for $70, because I do think Switch 2 games will probably be $70, by the way. But that one character is all we get for like 6 months until they start unveiling a little bit more about this port of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. As far as multiplayer games go, if we are getting one in this Switch 2 reveal trailer, I would say Mario Kart or Smash Bros. Ultimate Deluxe probably make the most sense. And finally, this is a total just personal one that I really want to see get the love and attention it might deserve, a new IP from Monolith Soft. Now, a new IP from Monolith Soft is something that we have been speculating on for pretty much the entire Switch generation, ever since that original concept art came out of like this fantasy princess lady. And while I think a lot of people have maybe safely come to the assumption that was just hiring and concept art for potentially Tears of the Kingdom, I still think a new IP from Monolith Soft is coming, and I would love to see it teased here. That might be a little bit too niche if it is really Xenoblade coded, right? If it's like turn-based, or if there's some weird quirky battle system, but maybe it's just a traditional action RPG, and that would be awesome to see here. Although they might actually just save that for the full reveal where they give the pricing, the exact release dates. You know, this is just a quick tease kind of video like the Switch was in October 2016, so maybe Monolith Soft would be safe for a more proper blowout event. Also worth mentioning, I think I'm like 50-50 on whether or not Prime 4 will come to just the OG Switch or if it will be a cross-gen release, so barring a Monolith Soft new IP reveal, if they are saving Metroid Prime 4 for the Switch 2, that would almost certainly be teased here. So those are the 4 first-party games I expect to see here, right? A 3D Mario game, Ocarina of Time remake, a multiplayer game, be that Mario Kart Smash or Animal Crossing, as well as the personal one, Monolith Soft. But what about third party? So in the Switch reveal trailer, we had Skyrim and NBA 2K. And while right now, those might not seem like that big of a deal, at the time, NBA 2K coming to Switch, huge deal. And more importantly, Skyrim coming to Switch, massive deal. So while I could be boring and say, oh, they're going to tease that Madden is coming back to the Switch, I'm going to go with two personal picks here that I would love to see, and I think would be a great show of support both from a Japanese developer, but also a Western developer. So first up, I think that Square Enix is going to fully commit to bringing their AAA products to the Nintendo Switch 2, and what better way to tease that than with a port of Final Fantasy 16. Now, I'm not too familiar with the exclusivity rights on this game. I know originally for Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Sony was reported to have 1 year of exclusivity on that game, but then it just never came to Xbox. So I'm not sure if they renewed the contract for that game, and that's why it never came to Xbox. And they could certainly do something similar with Final Fantasy 16, locking it to PlayStation 5 and PC, and definitely, but I think Final Fantasy 16 would be such a cool game to see running on the Switch 2 hardware, and would just be a great show of support from Square Enix. Now, talking a little bit outside of this reveal trailer, I do think after it, we will get announcements from plenty of third-party publishers that weren't featured in the teaser, where, you know, Square Enix will say, hey, Dragon Quest 12 and maybe even Kingdom Hearts 4 are coming to this platform. Maybe Capcom will say, hey, Resident Evil 9, or potentially less exciting because it won't be a new game, a Resident Evil 4 remake port will come over. Maybe Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta will come over from Konami, right? I think a lot of those more AAA Japanese third-party games will be coming to this platform, because why wouldn't they? So Final Fantasy 16 I think would be very exciting, but what about a Western developer? Well, I already said, you know, the boring answers to something like Madden, right? But I think what would be really cool to see here, and just to really show Nintendo's commitment to getting more of a hardcore audience on their platform, it would be really cool to see Call of Duty on this thing. That might also be a boring answer for a lot of you, but I think showing Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War, which is the rumored game for 2024, running on the Switch 2 would just be such an impressive moment for Nintendo fans and Call of Duty fans alike. It's like, oh, we're finally coming back, right? Call of Duty was on the Wii, it was on the DS, it was even on the Wii U, and those versions of the games sold very well. Well, maybe not Black Ops 2 and Ghost on Wii U, but we already know that Activision and Microsoft have kind of confirmed and signed a contract to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms in the future, as well as I believe during that whole court hearing with the ABK deal, I think Bobby Kotick said that he regrets not bringing Call of Duty to the Switch to begin with, and I think Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War is going to be a huge success. Black Ops games usually are the best-selling Call of Duty games, so what better way to show that commitment than giving us a glimpse of a Call of Duty game on Nintendo hardware. Now, this is a little weird because Gulf War will be releasing holiday 2024, and I think the Switch 2 will release in early 2025, so it would be a late port. However, there are also rumors for Call of Duty 2025, and it is essentially going to be a sequel to Black Ops Gulf War that is kind of an expansion light, like what they did with Modern Warfare 3 this year, where it wasn't really a full new game, but it was just kind of an add-on to the previous game. So while they could wait until 2025 and do that Black Ops 2 sequel, I think it makes more sense to just port Black Ops Gulf War, even if it is 5 or 6 months late from when it was initially released, get that on the Switch, and then moving forward, just have it day and date with all the other platforms. So to recap, I think these 6 games we will see in the initial, 3 or 4 minute Switch 2 teaser trailer will be a 3D Mario game, Ocarina of Time remake, a multiplayer game, be that Smash, Mario Kart, or Animal Crossing, Monolith Soft's new IP, and then from third party Final Fantasy 16 or an equivalent major Square Enix AAA game, and Call of Duty. And then, like I said, I think after the reveal trailer, a lot of developers and publishers will kind of come out of the woodwork and confirm that they are developing games for the Nintendo Switch 2, similar to what we saw with this image during the Switch era, because, I mean, that was huge, right? Seeing CD Projekt Red on that list was crazy, and then we actually got Witcher 3. Now, I will say, I think the ultimate, checkmate, go to Nintendo move would be if they are getting GTA 6 on the Switch 2 to have some exclusive footage of that or something, but that's probably teetering on just completely unrealistic at this point. And I also think that following this reveal, Nintendo will confirm that the system is launching in March, although we will probably already know that based on the investor meeting earlier in the year. Maybe they give it a date here. They didn't do that for the Switch, but maybe they just go ahead and put a date on it. And they will confirm that there will be a January presentation showing what will essentially be the entire 2025 lineup, with some teases of even further off games coming from third-party developers and maybe some first-party stuff, right? So that is going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think the perfect reveal scenario for the Nintendo Switch 2 will be like? I know there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, the perfect scenario is that it releases in 2024, and I agree. I would like this thing to come out even sooner, but I just want to kind of ground myself in a little bit more reality, and hey, if it comes out in 2024, then I win regardless because I didn't set myself up for disappointment. So let me know, when do you think it's getting announced? When do you think it will release? And what games do you think will be announced alongside it if it is going to mirror the original Switch trailer, which had 4 first-party games and 2 third-party games? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Maybe there's some third-party stuff I forgot that would make more sense than Final Fantasy 16 and Call of Duty, but let me know what you think down there. And of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, coverage, all of that stuff. You can join my Discord that is linked down below, and follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Until next time, folks, peace.